to stop talking. We have to stop talking so
Well, hello and welcome to the Fourth Wall Roundtable featuring you guys, members of the King Collective Theatre Company. I'm Jo Stanley and I'm here to guide the conversation, but absolutely not dictate it, because tonight is about you. So I thought I'd begin by asking you, wonderful people, a disparate bunch of people who came together to form a theatre company, why would you do that? Because it seems to me as an outsider that that's a lot of hard work. It's potentially draining on the bank balance. There's some financial risk. I imagine that it's exhilarating at times, but also heartbreaking at times. Why would you get together and form a theatre company?
Probably lots of different reasons, I suppose, from each of us. From my perspective,
you kicked it off, Michala.
I kicked it off.
It's your fault.
Yes.
Was it really?
Yeah.
We'll blame
Michala sent the first email.
I did set up the very first meeting, I suppose, I guess. Look, it was selfish. It was pretty selfish of me on one level, because I haven't worked in theatre very much, and so and really want to, and I have a heavy television and film background, and so for me it was I wasn't getting seen for theatre because I'm a television actor, or predominantly known as a television actor, and so I guess I just found this really wonderful group of people, and we had this really amazing experience working with Larry Moss together, and I went, oh, I really want to work like that, and I can't really work like that in television. So for me it was, well, don't wait to be auditioned for a theatre show, create your own. And so I guess that's what instigated it, but
and maybe from the other end of the scale, I've had groups or brought people together for probably 20 different projects since I've moved to Melbourne, which was only 9 years ago, and we've been working together for 3 or 4 now, and nothing ever stuck. Could never quite find, you know, the same voice, or no one was ever quite on the same page. And you know, we did our first production. I'm not sure if any of us quite knew if we would be on the same page at the end of it. It was a new work, so it was a pretty gruelling and wonderful experience. But yeah, we got to the end of it, and debrief, everyone was like, I think we'll keep going with this. It was, yeah, and here we are.
So what do you hope, though, to achieve as a production company then? What are you hoping to communicate to your audiences?
I think they've already communicated a lot. I'm here because I saw their first production, and it was self-generated. It was fascinating. It was really engaging, and I thought, wow, that they can take that kind of risk, that they're that committed, that they're in there doing something that really, I mean, without support, you know, I mean, other companies are not doing that kind of work, and I think it's really interesting that they've gone from a self-generated work to doing a trilogy, a scripted trilogy of probably 3 of the hardest plays you might ever want to tackle. Speaks to their courage as artists, and it's good to get involved in that kind of thing.
But, you know, what is it as a company? And I suppose, you know, I've done my research, I've looked on your website. Well, you know, there's obviously something that drives you as theatre makers, particularly as artists, as writers, directors, performers. There's something that you want to communicate to an audience. Why is it you want to bring people into a room? And I know this is not the first time for you, Chris. You have formed theatre companies before, so you're a sucker for punishment.
I'm Roman Catholic.
What is it that you desire in communicating to these strange people that might be lucky enough to sit in your theatre?
You know what always strikes me as funny is that with all the pressures that we have on us in a modern world, be it, you know, social media, Facebook, Twitter, there's probably 3 this week that I haven't heard of yet, but but why do people still go to the theatre? I guess is my point. And it intrigues me. And I think, personally, it's because we all love to be told stories, and in a theatrical medium, to have writing like this, I think we all agree, to have writing like this to work on as an actor is, it's like manna for your soul, without waxing too philosophic, but it, you know, and that's what the audience gets too. They get to take this journey with you through these well-written plays that have gags, that have twists. I mean, they're like 3 Gothic fairy tales, yeah? This trilogy. And it was a revel. I remember seeing Beauty Queen on Broadway with the original Irish cast, and we'd gone to New York. Yes, I had a company in America for a while, and so we used to go to New York every year and see what was, you know, happening, and everyone was raving about this Beauty Queen of Leenane, and I went, oh my God, we've never seen something like this for decades. Even more intriguing that the guy was 24 years old. It was his first group of work. Went on to win Olivier's and Tonys, and you know, so it's, for me anyway, it's like, why be an actor? To work on great work.
And also what you touched on there was that audiences go to see their own
Stories
human
being
condition
told.
reflected back
It's
to
like
them.
group therapy.
Yes.
I mean, it's rather than going to a psychiatrist or a, you know, psychologist or whatever on your own. You're there with other people, and you feel, you can feel in an audience the connection between the people sitting in the seats, I think, and you all think, oh yeah, I experienced that, I feel that, and you're not alone, and
we need that.
Yes.
we need that.
Let me throw the question back at you.
Yeah.
You worked on radio. You still work on radio. Totally different medium, but you're communicating, what, right?
Well, yes, I think very much what Marg is saying is right. It's a Me Too factor that I think we all search for opportunities to know that we're normal, essentially, because I think we fear a lot that we're not in our darkest moments. So a theatre is wonderful in that it's so immediate. It's immediate.
Yeah.
And can tell you that, and also it can take you to places that you won't necessarily ever go to in that sense. So tell me about then the Leenane Trilogy and how it does that for those audiences that will see this show. What parts of humanity will it be sharing and reflecting back?
It's small stories about big ideas, I think. I mean, that's what's wonderful about McDonough's work, is that it's so layered that simple domestic events, the mundanity of life, and then beyond that, I mean, I'm directing Lonesome West, and it's a story about 2 brothers in conflict. No accident, written at the same time that, you know, there was civil war in Rwanda, there was the Irish Troubles, there was the Yugoslav wars, you know, Bosnia and so on, and it's a kind of little microcosm of those bigger things. It doesn't access those on that particular level, but it makes people think about bigger ideas, and also things like faith and humanity, right and wrong. I mean, you know, they sound like, you know, sort of big generalisations, but that's what's so good about the play, is that they access all of those things through these simple lives, you know, and they're exciting and they're fun at the same time. And often it accesses serious ideas through comic means. More so in probably...
It's human nature to make light of heavy circumstances.
Like you were saying, like if you go to the theatre to kind of watch yourself or discover yourself as well, or to be around people who understand and what have you, it is you know, some of it, some theatre might be far-fetched, some might not be, but you're gonna relate. You can't not relate to kind of human troubles, even if it's just like it might seem like the most mundane, you know, domestic struggle. It's still so heartfelt, and still like the stakes are so high and it's so tragic. So you cannot not relate to it, if you know what I mean.
Well, Martin McDonaugh is not only a playwright, but he's written film, and he loves film, and his plays are quite filmic in a lot of ways and quite naturalistic, even though the actual subject matter and the stories that are happening within these 3 pieces are heavy and full on and whoa, really? Wow, is that going to happen? It's still quite meant to be quite naturalistic, so it is very relatable. And even though they're Irish plays, the themes are that they cross borders. You know, Australian audiences are going to go, oh, if my life, if I became reduced as these human beings are, this is what my life could be like.
You know, it's interesting though, you talk about the sort of the circle. Michala says that you know, there's a filmic quality to the plays that he's written. Similarly, there's a very theatrical quality to the films that he's written and directed.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, the coming together of those two things is what makes it sort of exciting, because just when you know the writing has pulled you in and we're just here and we can see, you know, we're so close to what's going on, you know, he'll explode it out again in this piece of comedy, which, you know, forces you back, but at the same time, you know, gives you room to breathe again and to laugh and to poke fun at yourself.
Yeah, it's crucial, I think, in a very heavy piece that you have comedy to allow an audience to breathe. And it's also it's a spoonful of sugar.
Yeah. But it also makes you question why you laugh, you know, and there's no coincidence in, I think, maybe in choosing these plays. I don't know whether it's part of them choosing these plays, but I mean, there's a question of faith and the church and things, and Father Welsh, who's mentioned in the plays and appears in the third play, has a crisis of faith, but he's being questioned about things like child abuse. And, you know, I mean, and the play was written at the time when the whole child abuse and the Catholic Church thing emerged in Ireland. It was a major question, and it's very apposite these days in Australia.
And that is an extraordinary thing about theatre too, and in fact the arts in general, that you're able to document the time and also comment on you know, politically and, you know, on whatever is happening at that time in society. It's wonderful that way. I'm told by Mark that the accent's pretty intense for this particular piece, these three pieces, and share what your your test for yourself is. Mark has a test for himself, for him to know, for him to know that he's nailed an accent.
What's the test?
Well, I
Go on now.
Well, you can share your secrets now,
normally when I finish up, when I'm comfortable with an accent, which I hear now is some other actor does as well. So it's not entirely an original thing, but it's going to McDonald's drive-through, and it's true.
This is a true story.
No, this is serious. Every time I'm finishing off and I'm ready to do a play or whatever, a film, I test the accent at a drive, because you know when you're talking to someone face to face, they're looking at you and they might hear it, but they're looking at you at the same time. So I felt the best way to get an A-OK with an accent is if they just hear it. Yeah. So you drive through and you order.
It's kind of like the fast food voice.
Right.
And you order some,
and then you drive around to the first window, and if the girl or guy is like giving you this, then you know you need a bit more work. But if they're like taking it on board, then you know you're ready.
Career in the hands of McDonald's.
So how are you going? Can you order some?
No. I'm not.
Big Mac and fries.
Maybe by next week. Maybe by next week.
I find it amusing when I read all of your backgrounds, because obviously as an adult you're drawn to theatre for those reasons, and the arts, film, TV as well. But all of you, I think, pretty much identified that you were wanting to be actors as children. And no child sits around going, I need to go to the theatre because I want to reflect back human stories to my audience. So I'm interested to know,
that we wanted to do it
as children you identified that.
I wondered how we...
So what is I'm interested in the journey then that takes you from that moment as a child with dreams and stars in your eyes to this. So what made you as children want to follow this path?
Oh, that's easy.
Attention.
Attention.
Well, it turns out we're both the fifth of 8 children.
Right.
And we talked about this the other day at rehearsal. It's like, oh, damn straight I wanted attention. It's like, come on, look at me. I'm like, I need a pair of shoes or something,
Yeah. And does attention relate to fame as an adult? As the two people at the table who would probably be the most recognisable?
It was more, I distinctly remember going to my great aunt Molly's house, and she had very plush red velvet curtains. and she'd say, "Go on, darling, go behind there," and then you'd come out from the curtains and go, "Ta-da," and do a little number, and they'd all go, "Woo!"
Where was this?
This is good.
At my Great Auntie Molly's. Yeah, and
validation.
It must be, yeah.
But do you know what's a good remedy for that, or what we were talking about before? Like instead of going to a shrink, or what have you, the whole idea of wanting to perform or wanting to have ideas. I even remember as a little kid, just ideas and creative ideas, and which I thought might have been crazy ideas back then, going through your head. But then the gatherings that we have and the get-togethers we have, no idea is stupid. So instead of kind of squashing down this creative idea that might be awesome, you meet every week and just go, I got an idea.
But I think that makes actors extremely trusting people. Yeah. Do you think?
Oh,
yes.
Absolutely. You just got to go.
Yeah.
You hope that we're trusting. I mean, it's acting. I don't know. For me, it's like it's a selfish profession, but then you have to give it over to the audience, so that becomes very giving.
I don't think it's selfish at all.
Right.
I do. And those two traits don't jive.
I do think people who perhaps are non-actors who have been in relationships with actors would say it's quite a selfish.
Okay, yeah.
When I say selfish, I mean you have to do it for yourself.
Yes, of course.
In order to own it, you have to do it for yourself.
So what drew you to acting then, Mark?
It was kind of sleight of hand. It wasn't entirely what I was hoping to do in my life. I was going to be a comic book illustrator.
Right.
Because I was a huge comic book fan, so I started drawing a lot. And then I remember reading somewhere that you've got better chances of being drafted in the NBA than you do having a career in comics. So I thought I'll just be an actor there.
Because there's a lot more.
There's better odds there, yeah?
Yeah, better odds.
0.1%.
But I think subconsciously I was doing it back then because I was acting out comic books with all my cousins with all these cameras, and we'd act out the comics. So it was kind of one of those things.
So was there a person that inspired you? Because it strikes me that I think the arts in general, and particularly performing arts, is an industry where it relies so much on there being someone who either is a mentor or inspires you or is there to pick up the pieces, or it's not something you can do in an isolated way, I think. Would you say all of you have had someone in your life that's given you that spark, John?
You've got to have the right support network.
Yeah.
Larry Moss.
Larry Moss brought
that's
you
why
together.
we're all sitting here.
Yes.
Late in the game, though. We've all wanted to be actors since we were kids. He fucking turned up when we're 40.
I went to school with Jane Turner, who of Kath and Kim fame, and when she arrived in grade 6, I think it was, we did drama in the upstairs common room, and this kid came in. She had a really elfin little haircut and a deep husky voice, and she was just fantastic, and she just did some sort of drama exercise, and I just thought, I love you. I just want to be with you and create things with you.
It's a similar story
we
to
did that.
French and Saunders, actually.
Did they go to school together?
Yeah, well, drama school, and that it was that
Kindred
two women
spirits.
just connecting
kindred
and making
spirits.
each other laugh so much.
I've got mine's a bit different, but I love to gush about her because she has.
Gush away.
Do you know Claire Hooper?
Yes.
Yeah. So I met Claire when I was 11 years old in Perth, and she cast me in the year 8-9 production, and I was a questionable kid at that stage. Would be a fair assessment.
What does that mean?
Oh, I just wasn't.
Quirky.
Yeah, let's say quirky. That's a good one.
Perhaps we all are to be in this game.
Exactly. But to be allowed to be that and to be celebrated for that is pretty special, and just not by chance, but I worked with her all through high school, and then she cast me in my first independent play doing Shakespeare, which was extraordinary, and then we met up in Edinburgh, and then we moved to Melbourne together, and I've done strange cameos in all manner of her comedy shows, as a horse and as a human book. And once I jumped out of a box, that was my favourite. But you know, that's lovely because she's quite a bit older than me, and so it was a different sort of relationship. I've had, you know, I would include all you as, you know, my very dear colleagues and friends who inspire me, but it's interesting to have someone sort of a step ahead, and to really kind of nurture a career, I suppose. I don't use that word often. I don't know if I've ever used the word career in terms of what I do before. But
well, you need to at some point. John, I'm interested because I imagine now you're at a point where you are inspiring people.
I'm very old. I'm very old now. And when I started out, I mean, there was no drama school. I was growing up in New Zealand, you know, there was no drama school, there was no theatre company when I was growing up. But I had this wonderful English teacher who brought records to school and played Shakespeare and took us out into the woods in a perfectly proper manner to read Shakespeare, like kind of like Dead Poets Society. This fantastic English teacher who actually, when I had a career in the theatre some years later, I saw him. I went back home and I saw him in the street and I went up to Mr. Halliburton and said, "Mr. Halliburton, sir," I said, "I just want to thank you for your teaching." And he was, you know, he was very old by then, but it's lovely to be able to actually, and he, you know, everyone has a mentor, everyone has somebody who inspires them, I think. And I think you have to do this because it's bloody hard. You know, I mean, it's a job, sure, it's a job, but it's a job that requires great skill, great dedication, a lot of hours to put in, you know, and stickability, all that kind of stuff. And I had an English teacher, you know, and I don't know whether I inspire people now to do stuff, but because I've moved away from the theatre largely until recently. Thank you very much, Kin Collective, for having me back. But I've been writing mainly for the last long time, so. But I love the theatre, and you never ever stop loving the theatre, I don't think. So.
It strikes me, I think, that society in general could learn a lot about the way people interact in the theatre, in that, you know, you support each other and it's very collaborative, and, you know, you're only as strong as your weakest link, and you do, you know, different generations and different walks of life come together, and, you know, it's a really lovely way of interacting with other humans, and I don't think...
And with yourself, I dare say, yes. in the most appropriate way. You know, it's funny because I think when you work the way that we work, you're looking at human behaviour all the time. And I remember someone, because I started so young, I remember someone saying to me once, "Oh, you've been acting since you were so little, and you spend your whole life pretending to be someone else. How do you even know who you are?" And I was like, but that's, I think I know who I am better than the average Joe because I'm. Sorry, no pun intended. You ain't no average Joe. But I think I like to think I'm pretty aware of who I am because of what I do for a living, because I'm constantly evaluating myself and human behaviour, and I think it's really good for you. I think most people don't even stop and assess their own lives in the way that we do. I think it's really healthy.
I guess, you know, what it does is, and I found for me, being an actor, you have to, the way you view people and the world, you kind of have to, you have to divorce your own morality in ways that you view people. You can't judge.
Take the judgment out of it.
It's almost like you got to be the defense and a prosecutor, but never the judge. Of everything, because you're going to be playing these people, so you never want to judge a character, so you have to view the world in a way that is, you know...
So you're more empathetic.
Yeah.
So do you think that makes actors and writers and directors and, you know, people who make film and theatre, does it make you more evolved or perhaps more damaged people?
Not necessarily more evolved. I don't think so.
With theatre, you know, let's face it, you never do theatre for money, right? For me, it's like going to the gym. It's a good workout. Theatre is a workout. But what it gives you is that awareness. on how to view people. And because it's so immediate, they're right there. It's the finished product. What you give is what they get. It doesn't, you don't process it. So there's something that happens with an audience every night that you feel connected. It's very different from film and TV. Time and space and technology are not matters.
So maybe not necessarily more evolved, but more connected.
You know, but which is all fine and dandy and everything. But I got to say, I don't know about you cats, but I prefer and revel in the rehearsal process and the study more than the actual show.
Yeah. Always.
You do it and you oh my God.
Why do you bother doing a show?
And I do, Joe. And I do. But I love it. I love the study of working out. It's like working out who that human is, working out who everyone is, and working out who I am, and putting your own kind of mind in that person's mind and working out why that happens and why that does.
The investigation of it.
The investigation for weeks before, like you might only get a 4-week kind of rehearsal period, but if we know that we're doing the plays soon, I'll spend weeks before that. Yeah. Just investigating just that human behaviour is the most fascinating thing ever. These plays are awesome, don't get me wrong, but don't you think
performance is a process of discovery as well?
It will, as it goes on, yeah, definitely. You know? But I just have to say the actual theatrical. I mean, sorry, the theory and the catching up with people like we did the other night at the party. All that stuff to me. That's the fucking killer. That's what I love.
It's the discovery.
And it's just finding out who people are and why you behave like that. The rehearsal and even the pre-rehearsal is it for me. I love the performance because that's the selfish person in me. I'm not even fucking turning up in the play. But no, I love the performance, but on a different level, on a different vibe.
You know. I think in theatre, as opposed to television, where you might be that awkward guest artist and you don't know who to sit with in that tent at lunchtime, especially if you've got one scene.
Sit with me, Marg, because no one sits with me.
And you think, that wardrobe person looks really friendly. I'll go and sit next to them. And
thank God for
but
iPhones.
even in a exactly in a theatrical situation and rehearsing, even a minor role, you're all in there together, and you develop it together from the ground up. And you're not just inserted from the outside for a day or two of filming.
And you are in charge of your performance. No one is editing you.
Yeah.
No one. You're not getting cut from a close up to a wide shot or
one take.
There's one take. It's all on you, and it's your performance. You're in control of it.
You just have the audition, and then you're on.
Yeah. No rehearsal.
No rehearsal. No sort of teasing out of the
that's
character.
Terrifying.
Which is often
that's mostly
would you say,
the
John?
case
That's mostly the case. That
in television.
Yeah, you pretty well
sure.
you audition and then
unfortunately, I mean, directing theatre I love directing theatre. I find directing television is kind of paint by numbers in a way. I mean, it has to be because of the pressure that you're under. You know, you don't have time to rehearse actors and do some of the stuff that we've been doing in this production,
So we're talking, these wonderful utopian experiences of creating theatre with people that you trust and you love, but they can't all be good experiences. There have to be some dreadful experiences in film and in theatre. Hit me with your worst. Smallest houses, worst. No, not with that. No, in general. Smallest houses, worst.
Well, I think the equity rule is that you can't, if there's not more people in the audience than in the cast. Yes. I did a solo show. He left at half time.
Did you have one audience member?
And I was like, what the fuck? I'll do it. I'll keep going.
All right, that's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad.
I performed at Edinburgh Fringe, and I'm told that this was 2006, and I heard the number floating around at the time that 6 people was the average house, and that was a good house, and there was 15 of us in the play, so we never outnumbered them. But we had a chainsaw in that. It was a schlock horror comedy spoof of Macbeth. I'm still not sure what that even means. But at some stage, you know, this is independent theatre, and the sort of stuff that happens at the very last scene, the final confrontation, you know, the guy Macbeth is wielding a chainsaw. And on the night that my dad came from Perth to Edinburgh to see the show, the entire blade, which they hadn't had time in the dress rehearsal to saw the teeth off, physically came off the thing and just went... And so I got a big cut along here.
Wow. Have you got a scar?
No, I got nothing. No, it was like a light bleed. It wasn't... Come on, don't question the story. But it was very dramatic.
Yes,
Very dramatic.
So moments, bad reviews at all?
Nah, never.
No? No, never. Everyone loves you.
What about the show you walked out on, Bunworth?
I've had a bad review.
Yeah. What did the review say? Do you remember? Because I don't think I've had reviews that I will never forget.
What's your
just
worst
so
review?
painful.
I'd like to hear that.
Oh, it was something about this show is so bad. The only thing that's worth going is for Joe Stanley's arse or something. Which was a compliment, I suppose, but...
That's where we're starting.
Yeah.
That's a good review, as far as what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Backhanded.
It was a Fado farce. But what was weird was one review was really glowing, and the other one was, of course, you know,
no, but not what I mean by that is
it's so subjective, obviously.
Isn't that the funny thing, though? You could somebody goes,
and the other one was really
I don't get the fact that they
good.
can start doing star system now with theatre. Like with film, I can understand that you can, you know.
Why do you say that?
Because you're watching a movie, right? And at an hour and 20, that guy's going to come out every night that you watch that movie. But in theatre, it's never the same. It's always moving. So how can you give 3 stars as a season and in a whole?
To one.
Are they doing that now?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are.
That's bullshit.
Because of its unique nature of night to night.
I get the reasoning why but it just doesn't make sense to me.
So then, you know, you're drawn to this profession that is challenging. It's obviously extremely hard to stick at. You have times where you have trouble paying the bills, and still you do it because you love it and you can't think not to do it. And then you have those dark times when no one comes and you get a bad review and you can't pay your bills and you haven't got a job lined up. How do you keep going?
That's what the collective's for.
Wednesday night's shrink class.
Yeah.
You know,
Really?
we catch up on Wednesday and debrief.
That's
and
part of
talk
the
about it.
reason we formed the company as well, is that for when you're not working, you know, if you're a creative person, you have to have a creative outlet. You have to have creative people around you, or you can go into dark places, or you can really struggle. And so part of even if we aren't preparing for a production, we were just getting together and reading plays, so that at least, I mean, I play and write music, but just for myself, because I have to have a creative outlet, and I have to be around people that are like that.
Without the collective, before the collective then, was there ever a time when you thought, that's it, I'm getting a day job? Marg, I understand you. You had a day job.
I answered that in the questionnaire.
Yeah.
About 3 years ago.
What did you do?
3 years ago?
Yeah, just before we started up this,
Yeah.
I rang this woman.
So we're yours.
Who had,
I'm intrigued. Come on.
she had a cafe nearby, and we got on really well because I used to get my coffee there in the morning, and we'd chit chat away, and her cafe didn't really succeed. But I rang her and I said, why don't we investigate the idea of working together? And I had a venue all lined up, and
In a cafe?
I can't even cook. Really,
What were you
I'm not a
going
good
to do?
cook.
What did you imagine?
I just knew that I like people,
Yes.
and I love people,
And you
I love
give them a
chatting to
lovely
people.
monologue as they walked in the
And
door.
I thought I could do it.
Breakfast monologue.
Right.
What happened?
That makes you a good actor
So
to start with.
what made it not happen? What made
Yeah,
you not
yeah.
do it?
Tell
I
us.
started getting work,
Right.
Yeah.
weirdly.
Did you not
that
also
funny?
say...
Yeah.
The universe going far.
Yeah.
Did you not also say that you worked in sales at some point?
Oh yeah, I did a lot of work in sales,
Yeah.
David Jones, and
Yeah,
shops,
retail,
and I really enjoyed that too. Loved it.
People.
And so people, I just sort
Yeah.
of thought to myself, what do I really enjoy? I love just a bit of a chit-chat.
So nobody,
but nothing too heavy.
Nobody else thought of, no, it's too hard, I'm giving up, I'm not.
Oh, you have
not doing
days. I've had days like that, but no, I don't know what I'd do.
On life perhaps, but not acting.
No.
No.
It's funny when you do different things. I mean, I don't know how many of these guys have done other things apart from acting, but I started off as an actor and then I started directing and I ended up writing. And now I've come back to I might end up being an actor again. Who knows? But I always felt like I've been in doing the same thing because I've not been working as a waiter or something. You know, I mean, I'm kind of in that world somehow. And whether it's for television, film, or theatre, I'm in that kind of creative sphere.
So you never had a job like
No. No.
How do you go then, knowing that you're committed to this? There are certain things you have to reconcile yourself to. One is the anxiety surrounding the next job. Does that weigh on you?
You know what it is? I think it's one of the lessons along the way is to not place your self-worth or your self-value on whether you get a job or not. Wow. Which is that's big really one. Hard. It's really hard because it is because you are because you're offering yourself.
That's not just acting.
No, that's everyone. That is a beautiful lesson.
It is and it isn't because I mean I think specifically as an actor because you are the product.
Yes.
You're offering yourself as the thing to do they want or do they not. Not would you like to buy this, and they just didn't want that thing, the you know vacuum cleaner or whatever. Yeah. So that's the hard part is not going, oh, I'm just a bad person or I'm just really not good enough, because there are so many factors that you have no idea about. They might have just wanted someone blonde or someone taller or they thought you were great, but this other person that they had a thing in their mind of what they wanted and they did, you know, there's so many things out of your control, but you still place so much of your self-worth on whether you get a job or not.
And I suspect it might be the same for the rest of the collective, but certainly for me, coming together and doing this and choosing the texts that we work on and, you know, affirming each other in that we want to work with each other each time, for me has taken so much stress out of the agent and the audition part. Like suddenly I've started enjoying auditions, getting some work, this sort of stuff, because I feel so, like, you know, so supported, and that, well, I know that if I really want to play that role, I can bring it to the collective, and even if we don't do the production, I can say, I've got to read for this. This is, you know, this is really in me. Please read this play with me. And reading through that play and going on that journey is a bigger gift in some ways than getting an ad.
Well,
I'd love an ad though.
I was going to say, doesn't pay as well as an ad, probably. But so no envy. I think envy. I find I struggle with envy myself with when other people get jobs. Not between you, but when like in the world of the entertainment industry.
In the world
when other in the entertainment industry, when someone else gets a gig that you went for and you knew you were right for, you desperate.
Kind of beyond it.
Do you know what?
Like I don't mind.
Only envy if you couldn't get an audition for it.
Yeah, well,
I've never had a problem if I've auditioned for something and someone else has gotten the role. I've actually never felt any malice, but I do find it frustrating if you can't get in to be seen for a role that someone else has got, because then you know you just didn't get to walk through the same.
Obviously, we always do self auditions as well, because especially stuff in Sydney and America, you do your self auditions. And it's generally like if the demographics, you know, 30 to 40, it's a bunch of our mates and we're all auditioning for the same thing, and you're all reading opposite the guy, hoping he gets it, then doing the same read yourself. And it doesn't matter about, if you're going to get it, you're going to get it. It's not going to be a difference.
I think, you know, for us, I mean, it was a matter of not really, if that came, that was just like gravy. But we never focused on that. If it came across an audition or whatever, but you know, me and Linc were involved in another theatre company prior to this one. And for us, it was just about creating as much work as we could do, just so we kept ourselves going. And then if that came, then it came. But I don't think in this country you can actually just be an actor. That's my, you have to be a producer.
You
can, but majority of them is like, if you're Chris Buns, then you can.
Because he's just so
reckon there's like 9 females and 9 males who get
At least there's a balance, Buns.
Yeah, gender balance. I'm all about gender balance.
But you know, coming down to brass tacks, like you were saying, and when we started that other theatre company, which is, you know, it was great, we did some great stuff, it was all about, he started the theatre company, sorry, I joined a bit later. Yeah. It was all about, hey, we don't have work, we're not getting that many auditions, and same as King Collective, we're like, well, hell, man, let's just do our own work, and we made some pretty good theatre. Which kind of, you know, which is, you have to do. Yeah. And if you don't do that, and if you're just going to be about, I sit around and I work in a bar for 3 years until I get my next audition, then, well, fuck, I don't know.
Well, you're just lazy.
Well, you're lazy.
Well, that's what we learned from Larry Moss.
You know.
Well, Larry Moss told us how
Larry Moss basically was like, you know, if you want, get off your ass.
If you're not working, go fuck yourself.
So literally, and don't whinge about it. And he said that, don't whinge about it, do something about it. Because he said to me, why have you never done a play?
Right.
And I said, I don't get seen I don't get auditions for plays. And he went, well, do something about it. And I was like, oh shit, okay. Like, it's completely logical, but
so that's about taking
it's
ownership.
hard work.
It's taking ownership of your
absolutely
destiny
take responsibility for yourself
as well. And I'm reminded of a quote that I actually have above my desk, which I go to a lot, which is from Martha Graham, and I'm sure you've all heard it. But a blessed unrest that keeps us marching and makes us more alive.
Yes.
Which it is a blessing, but there's sort of a curse to it as well, because there is an unrest. There's not a point at which you are still. But do you think that's a blessing or a curse?
It's a fucking blessed curse. The good thing is though, yes. okay?
Yes, I'm listening.
Joe, is that in any other profession, there's a career path, right?
Yes.
You're a good surgeon, you're a good firefighter, you're a good pastry chef, you're a good clean out the toilet man. You know, if you're good at your job, you'll have a career path. In the arts, no. You rise and fall on your petard, right? You know, that gig was good, that wasn't, that resonated, that sold tickets, blah, blah, blah. But we never have to retire.
Ever.
I love what I do for a living. How many of your friends and your friends and your friends over there on all those fucking cameras can say that?
Whoa, huh.
Well, some of them might. Some of them might love it.
They might, and great, and good luck to them.
Yes.
You know, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And one thing that I've sort of been really thinking about a lot, particularly in the last couple of months working on this play with these people, is that I turn up to work every day, and at the end of it, I'm better at my job because these people are putting me through my paces, and I don't know that it can ever get better than that. Like, honestly, and I'm not just saying that, to be given that by someone you walk into a room with, I mean, you know, we're done here. It's an extraordinary
people
gift.
did it, and not even just actors, if more like humans.
Yeah.
If more humans got together every Wednesday and had a good heartfelt chat about emotions and human behaviour and what the fuck should happen in life, it would be a better place.
So.
I mean, they have all these clubs and groups and, you know, I mean, again, theatre, it's all theatre, right? The book club, the film club, the old ladies playing croquet on a Wednesday afternoon club with the cucumber sandwiches with the crust cut off. It's the club. We all want to belong.
Yes, but there's a lovely depth of examination of the human spirit that you have come together to do together. So thank you so much for sharing it with me tonight. Well done. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Cheers. Salon. Medal. Salon.